following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Frankly Speaking. And I'm really getting into my political season here since our elections, the primary elections for some of these candidates running for governor, state, U.S. Rep, U.S. Senate is coming up on September 13th. And then the general election, of course, is coming up. The biggie is coming up in November. I think the first Tuesday, maybe second Tuesday in November. But anyway, with that having been said, we have with us today on Frankly Speaking, Casey Newell is a Republican candidate for a United States Rep on the New Hampshire 2nd District. And so, Casey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Frank. How are you?
You're doing well. So why don't you tell my audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, and why you're running for the U.S. House of Representatives?
I just want to say thank you for taking the time, doing this. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Well, my name is Casey Newell. I'm running for District 2 of U.S. Congress. I lived with my grandparents since I was 3 years old, raised on a farm, 7 racehorses, about 100 pigs. Why I chose to run for Congress is I want to fight for the American people, by the American people. This is why I'm doing this.
Oh, that's pretty short, sweet, and simple.
Yeah.
Now, on your campaign slogans and signs and newspaper ads, you don't have a catchy phrase like "Make America Great Again" or anything like that.
I do. It's time for a new generation of leadership to step up.
Oh, time for a new generation of leadership. That could catch on. Now, in all due respect, Casey, well, I realize it's a crazy election year, and a lot of unconventional things have already taken place. I mean, if I was a gambling man, for example, I would have lost my shirt on how successful Donald Trump has been thus far in his run for presidency. Well, as of right now, as of this taping, he's the leading Republican presidential candidate, but 200 delegates or something like that, or something like that. But anyway, so anything can happen. But what do you say to people? Because your opponent in the Republican primary is I think he's the majority leader in the New Hampshire state legislature, and then the incumbent is Miss Custer, Annie Custer, and I mean both of them are considerably older than you. They have a more educational background, and they've been around the politics quite a bit. What do you say to people who would look at you and say you're in way over your head in this particular election?
Well, Frank, I don't think I'm way over my head. The reason for that is I'm a true American by sense. I work every day, a 40-hour job. I work hard, and I see the people working hard in the country. And I just want to help the American people.
Oh, okay. I mean, that could definitely in this particular race. Yeah.
I know I don't have any experience, but Donald Trump doesn't have any experience. political experience either. So
That's true too. That's true. And if he's on the ballot, so your thing on the primary, I mean, the onus will be on you and your opponent to get out your people to the primary election on September 13th. But in the general election in November, especially if Donald Trump is on the ballot, a lot of the voters will say, let's get the bums out, let's get the incumbents out and stuff like that. If that's the sentiment that New Hampshire voters have, like they did in February when they overwhelmingly voted in New Hampshire for Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, you could be in very good shape against Annie Custer in the general election. That's for sure.
I hope so. I think I have a good chance. I mean, yeah, I'm young, but that doesn't mean anything. Age doesn't matter.
That's true. That's true. So, okay, now that we're done that portion of the interview, let's get into the issues a little bit.
Okay.
Well, I guess one of the more important issues concerning any presidential or national election is like appointing a new Supreme Court justice to the Supreme Court. And right now, I guess about a couple of weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, Anton Scalia had passed on. And I guess there's some brouhaha with President Clinton. I guess he already nominated this judge, Merrick Garland. And I guess one of the Republican senators, longtime Republican Senator Orrin Hatch, at one time endorsed Merrick Garland to the, I don't know, a federal judgeship or something like this. This is his first Supreme Court nomination. And I guess as the story goes, the Senate is kind of dragging their feet. Because, it's a majority Republican Senate or majority Republican Congress. They're going to drag their feet, and they want the American people to vote on the next Supreme Court justice. Well, whoever the presidential candidate will be, will pick the Supreme Court. Which do you think? Do you think the Senate and Congress should act now, immediately, to either approve or disapprove this Merrick Garland and maybe have Obama pick another one? Or do you think we should wait till November and let...
Well, states in the Constitution that the president has the right to nominate whoever he wants for a Supreme Court justice. So once he's done that, I think it's up to the Senate to vote on him, disapprove him, or get him approved to become a Supreme Court justice. I mean, it's simple. Vote on him. They vote no, then we'll go from there. I think he has the right for hearings. Everybody else.
So you think it's kind of a mistake that the Senate and Congress aren't doing their due justice of not at least hearing him and making a decision that way?
Yes, I do. I think they should have hearings, ask him questions, let him give them answers, then vote. I think that's their job to do that. Get it done. That's my opinion, so.
Oh, okay. So that's that's interesting. And beside that, I guess, if Hillary Clinton is the nominee and is elected president, she could easily elect. She can easily appoint a younger and more liberal individual than Merrick Garland. So.
Yes. If Clinton gets in, she'll choose her own appointee. Or maybe keep Obama's appointee.
Oh, Merrick Garland. That's true. That's an option.
It's true because
too.
she was the Secretary of State under Obama, so she could keep him, but who knows?
Okay, so I think this gentleman is like 60-something, which, okay, it all depends. I know it's a lifetime appointment, but okay, yeah, she could keep him. That would be an option. And it's also one of the things that really affected, um, soon to affected Anton Scalia's passing was, I guess, the Supreme Court had to talk about, had to, well, decide on this California teacher who brought a case to the Supreme Court where I guess the teacher felt she was unduly handled by her labor union, the Teachers Union of California. And as the story goes, the deciding the Supreme Court, since Anton Scalia passed on, it was a 4-4 vote, which the vote went to favor the labor union because they were the defendant, since it was like a tie, like a hung jury, so to speak. And it's kind of unfortunate that if the labor union, that people have to be forced to join a labor union in that situation in order to get good representation.
Yes, I think the teacher has the right to choose not to work for a union. For that case, the next justice should goes again and tries to bring the case to the Supreme Court. I think she could win the case because I think she has the right to choose not to have a union, join the union, or not to.
Yeah. Even though the way the labor unions are set up, they still have to represent their employee, that particular employee. Although sometimes they kind of drag their feet, so to speak, if the person's a union member or not a union member. So there's political aspects to that too. So.
I'm not saying union's bad. There's pros and cons with the union.
Yeah.
So
hopefully for that teacher's sake in California, another case will come up before the Supreme Court and hopefully, well, maybe run in her favor, or
we'll see
what happens. But okay, so in all fairness to the Republicans in the Senate and Congress, supposedly dragging their feet on this Supreme Court nominee, do you feel that the FBI and the Department of Justice are dragging their feet on the Hillary Clinton federal email scandal, especially comparing Miss Clinton to the General Petraeus and his situation? Does there appear to be like a double standard here?
No, I don't think there's a double standard. I think they are dragging their feet with the Clinton investigation. They need to get it done, and they have evidence that proves she gives national security secrets on her server, then she should be charged. So I think they need to move their feet a lot quicker.
Yeah. And it'll be a really disparaging thing of justice if they have the election, like if she's already elected after November or something like that, and the FBI director or something like that makes a decision saying, oh, she's guilty of sin. We got to arrest her or something like that, or prosecute her or something like that.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to report on their investigation as soon as possible when they're ready. But they need to move quickly before the general election.
I agree. Especially at this point, I mean, she's very, very close to the number of delegates needed to get the Democrat nomination.
Yes, she is.
And it's very unfortunate for Bernie Sanders. I mean, say what you will about him being a socialist, he admits to being a socialist, but at least he should get a fair shot depending on where they feel about this investigation on the email scandal.
I think they need to finish their investigation and tell the American people what they found out, if she's guilty or not guilty, and move on. If she's guilty, charge her. We'll deal with it then.
Yeah. And it seems, too, that Barack Obama is kind of protecting her. Even like in some of the interviews, like with 60 Minutes and stuff like that, he's saying there was no obstruction of justice with her emails and stuff like that. And, he should just stay out of it, I think. And I think that made matters worse.
He needs to stay out. He needs to stay out big time.
I agree.
Of the situation.
Ah. Okay. So, wow, we're really plowing through these questions here. So, realistically speaking, I saw this, I guess they were talking about this earlier today. I got to see Ted Cruz. They had a town meeting on Good Morning America, asking him something, because I guess Donald Trump made a statement that if elected president, he's going to wipe out the $19 trillion that America is in debt right now. And Ted Cruz's response to, Donald Trump, promising that was that apparently on Donald Trump's calculators, a couple of keys must be missing, because there's no way that he sees that $19 million is going to be wiped out from the national debt in 2 terms or 8 years. What's your view on that? Realistically speaking, do you think the $19 million in debt, the national debt, would be wiped out?
No, I don't think so. I don't think even in 8 years. I think it's going to take a while to get out of $19 trillion in debt. I think we need to really cut back on a lot of programs, a lot of non-working programs. We need to cut back.
So do you have any examples on what would you push to cut back on?
I would probably oppose a cutback on defunding programs, like cutting back on the EPA, so they're not so powerful. I think we need to.
So climate control is way overrated, and
we need to really cut back on that. Yes, I don't have opinion on climate change. I'm in the middle. I can't really figure out what about climate change, if it's really happening or it's just a normal Earth cycle that we're in.
Okay. So EPA would be one of the things that you'd like to see, ideally like to see you cut back. What would you propose? What incentives or maybe tax breaks would you like to initiate to bring more jobs and businesses to New Hampshire?
I would love to have cut business tax on small companies, couple business, like small owners. We need to do more for the small business owners, because that's what really creates jobs in America. We need to give them a break, cut the red tape, cut the regulations, so they can hire more people. Once they hire more people, there will be more money in the economy, and our country will grow much faster rate as it is now. That's one of my top priorities. If I'm elected as a congressman, would propose a cut business tax for small business owners. Because recently I talked to a man the other day. He's a small business owner, and he told me that he pays 45% as a business tax, and it's just hurting him. So we need to cut back on the business tax for small business owners so they can have breathing room and grow. So once they grow, they can hire more people, and that will grow the economy.
Well, that sounds...
It's not going to be overnight, but as it gets going, we cut back on the business tax, I bet you'll see a growing economy.
Wow. Okay. So before we get into any more issues, it's my understanding that on April 29th, which is a Friday, you're going to have a fundraiser.
Yes, I am. I'm going to have a campaign fundraiser, in Epsom, New Hampshire, at the Circle 9 restaurant. Not the restaurant, but the campground. They have a hall. You can find the details on my campaign website and my Facebook page. newellforcongress.com is the website.
Yeah. And all that can lead to your Facebook page and
Yep.
stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. So that should be a pretty good happening.
I hope so.
Definitely. And so that's or as of right now, that's the only like big fundraiser you've got. For now.
But in the near future, I'm going to be having a lot more.
Oh, okay.
A lot more.
Okay. And so we were talking earlier today. We had a little bit of free time. Do you foresee the Republican Party changing drastically after the election, whether Donald Trump wins, loses, or ties?
I think that if Clinton wins the election, there will be a change for the Republican Party. Whether it's a big change, small change, we won't know until it happens, but there will be a change.
So do you think, let's hypothetically speaking, let's say Hillary Clinton wins, and either whoever the Republican is loses by double digits. Do you think the Republican Party will lean more toward Trump, the quote-unquote progressive Republicans, or lean more toward like Jeb Bush, the establishment Republicans?
Well, I think they'll lean towards a more of a fresh face, more progressive style, more progressive leadership.
Oh, okay. I think they got to do something. It's, I mean, there seems to be so many schisms, like the Tea Party, the Rhinos, Republican in names only, and all kinds of like name calling and stuff like that. And they seem to have lost their identity. Everybody claims they want to be like Ronald Reagan again in the 1980s, which would be excellent, but a lot of them have different ideas of how the principles of the issue should be run and conducted and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see. But like you said, if they win, if Trump wins or Cruz wins, I don't know, there might be a little tweaking here and there.
Might be a small change or a big change. But I'll tell you one thing, Frank. No one can fill Ronald Reagan's shoes.
Yeah.
People can try. Even me. I can't fill his shoes. But to tell you the truth, I will try my best to fill his shoes to do what's right for the American people. I can tell you that straight out. I can't make any promises, but I will try to try to fix things.
Yeah. Well, one thing, I think the whole concept between like caucuses, primary elections, and the whole nomination delegate process needs to be tweaked. Definitely.
Yes, I think we need to get out the caucus and get to the primaries for the whole country so everybody can vote.
When they're talking about delegates being wined and dined and stuff like that, that shouldn't be how we pick our delegates.
No.
I mean, how we pick our next president.
Absolutely not. I think we should get the primaries everywhere across the board.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how
we'll see what happens.
How the ball drops after the election, but like you said, if they win, if it's a Ted Cruz win or a Donald Trump win, it'll be like minor tweaking here and there, because winning changes everything. It heals all ills, so to speak.
Absolutely.
But losing, especially they should be, the Republicans should win this time around.
We'll see what happens.
I know it's going to be interesting. Like I said, like I told you before, I think win or lose, I think they'll make a movie or some kind of famous book about Donald Trump's campaign.
They probably will make a movie.
Yeah, because when you see a guy, usually like in local election, if a guy insults people especially and stuff like that, or gets on an ethnic type of issue or stuff like that, they're usually gone. Their polls drop like a rock. Donald Trump, for some reason, he rises when he does that. I don't understand that logic. But,
Well,
yeah.
Well, I think in time he will be calm. The actual public will calm down and become more professional as we get towards the general election.
Yeah.
But he's not going to stop hitting on Hillary Clinton, though.
That's true.
He will make smart remarks.
Yeah. I think he came up with a new nickname for her, Crooked Hillary. Whether that resonates or not, we'll see. Like Lion Ted Cruz or Little Marco Rubio. He just comes up with these things, so I don't know if Crooked Hillary's going to catch on, but we'll find out soon. But speaking about Donald Trump, let's talk a little bit about his initiated things, his initiated issues. Well, one of his biggest, of course, was the wall being that he's proposing between the U.S. and Mexican border. Are you in favor of having a wall between the United States and Mexico?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay.
The reason for that is we need to stop illegal immigrants from crossing the border. We need to build something, a wall or a bigger fence. Wall is probably much better because they can cut through the fence, but I think we need to do something. Build a wall to stop that. Stop the drugs coming in from Mexico into the country.
Do you believe that in Donald Trump, in that Mexico is going to pay for the wall?
It's going to be hard. He needs to do a lot more to push Mexico to pay for the wall. I don't think they're just going to write a check. I think you need to really push them harder, maybe get sanctions for them, against them. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, one thing I kind of agree with, if they're not going to pay for the wall, if there is like Ford Nabisco Carrier air conditioners already like going down to Mexico and operating at a cheaper rate or something like that, tax the heck out of them when they come back to the United States on a tariff type situation.
Absolutely.
And that would get the and I guess there's a new thing. I don't understand it, like Mexican immigrants who come over here. Well, I guess the drug cartels do it too, where they use Western Union money to like relatives still living in Mexico and other Latin American countries.
Oh yeah, there's tons of money going into Mexico. I just heard on the radio today that they have a surplus of $1 billion. So they do have the money to pay us to build the wall. But we need to figure out, Trump needs to figure out, also Congress needs to figure out what we can do to build that wall and let them pay for it.
Yeah. Well, it'll be an interesting thing going forward,
Yes,
that's for sure.
Yes, it will.
It will, definitely. Do you honestly think it's doable and financially feasible to temporarily deport all Muslims residing in the United States until such time our government can finally figure out what the hell is going on?
We need to figure out what's going on. I think a temporary ban is a must. I think we need to stop not all Muslims, but the refugees from Syria need to be stopped and figure out who's a terrorist or any Muslim is a terrorist. But we need just a temporary ban until we figure out. Then once we figure out, we can take away the ban.
One thing I kind of agree with, I think Donald Trump had a good point about the Syrian refugee situation, where you see on TV that these young guys, 20-something, 30-something, young, strong guys from Syria are all coming in, and you rarely see women or kids in that bunch. And Donald Trump is calling that a Trojan horse type situation, on trying to insinuate how many of those refugees are really ISIS plants that want to come to America or Europe and start trouble.
Absolutely. It could be anybody. It could be a small kid. It could be a woman. Just we don't know. So we need to put a temporary ban, and we need to come up with a good system to figure out who's a terrorist or not a terrorist. Until that time, after that time, we can lift the ban. But I think we need to ban all refugees from Syria. Because that's the main focus where they're coming from. Look at what happened in Paris. It's a very awful thing that happened in Paris.
Or Brussels, Belgium, yeah.
Absolutely.
You just don't know, and you got to have a better vetting system than what we have now, or what Europe's got now. That's for sure. Do you think does the United States desperately need to renegotiate its trade agreements with countries like China, Mexico, and Japan?
Yes, I think we need to have better trade agreements. We need better agreements, especially with China. I think we need to get money from China. But we owe China a lot of money too, but I think we need to figure out a better trade agreement with China so we can both win.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Do you honestly think America can negate and renegotiate last year's Iranian nuclear arms agreement?
I think we can, but we need to have stricter sanctions on them. If they decide to release a nuke to any country, we need to stop it in its tracks. We need to very drastically make a proportional response towards them if they fire any missile. But we do need agreement with them, but if they throw that agreement away, we'll hit them hard by sanctions, or if they threaten any country, and we'll take action.
That sounds like a good plan. Do you honestly... Now, this is... I think it's more of a Ted Cruz type thing than a Donald Trump. Because Ted Cruz has said that if he's elected, he would put our tax returns on a postcard. And all Americans can send in a postcard for filing their taxes. And Donald Trump has indicated that he'd like to put H&R Block out of business if he's elected. Do you think it's honestly doable to completely dissolve the Internal Revenue Service as we know it?
No, I don't think so, because if we decommission the IRS, we need to put something else in place of the IRS. So I think we need to limit their authority so people can breathe more and maybe we can do our tax on the postcard, but it'll be through the IRS. They'll send them out, and we can check off how much we made through the year. So, but I don't think it's doable to decommission the IRS.
And I guess we still have to, there's still federal programs like the military, Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines that still need funding, still require funding. So if you, cut off the financial source for that, I mean, you've got to, put in a better system or something.
Yes, if he has a better better system for that, I'm open to it, and
yeah,
I bet you everybody will be open to it. But he needs to come up with a better system.
Yeah.
Instead of a postcard. But we can do postcards with the IRS. If he gives a direct order to the IRS to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would work, I would think.
Frank, before we get
Oh,
the next
okay.
question,
Sure.
what I want to talk about is our military.
Sure.
I think we need to support our veterans much more. They need better care. They need a lot more help. I think we need to strengthen our military so we can be the best of the best. And I know a couple weeks ago, our veterans take a long time at the doctor's office or appointments for 3 months or longer. I think we need to fix that. I think we need to make it shorter times because our veterans are very important.
I agree.
And we need to figure out a better way to help the veterans more.
Yeah.
And our military is the greatest. I mean, if anybody serves in the military, thank you for our service.
I
Thank
agree.
you for your service. And if I see a military person wearing their uniform at a grocery store or a hospital, I always thank them. For their service.
So yeah, and so I don't know. I think it's both Cruz and Trump. I'm not quite sure, saying that if there's no room, the appointments are backed up at a Veterans Administration hospital, medical facility, that we should have civilian type doctors or civilian hospitals tend to them.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
We need that, definitely. I mean, first of all, we do have a lot of veterans, but there shouldn't be any backups. I mean, I know there's a shortage on doctors, but come on.
Yeah.
Really?
I hear you.
You know, our country's been, there's so much corruption in our government today. It's awful. That's why people are standing up. That's why I'm standing up for the voice of the people, so I can help the people.
Well, a good segue on the Veterans Administration medical facilities and the backup and all the problems infesting them. Another good segue would be about the current Obamacare situation. In your opinion, why couldn't the Republican majority in Congress and Senate repeal Obamacare? Because the legislation has power too. Not just Barack Obama. So I think that's probably what gives Donald Trump a lot of his strength, is saying they were so disgusted that they had Republicans had the majority in the Congress and Senate, and yet they couldn't repeal Obamacare. And do you think if either one of them, Ted Cruz or Donald Trump, do get in November, that Obamacare will be repealed?
Yes, I think Obamacare will get repealed. But right now, I think they're too afraid to do anything to repeal it. I think
in respect to Obama or?
Obama, I think they're afraid of Obama. For some reason, I think I get that sense that they're afraid to do anything. That's why there's so much stuff going on,
Yeah. I mean, I realize that, Nancy Pelosi was the former majority leader in Congress, and Harry Reid was the former head of the Senate, both Democrats and stuff like that. But so they're still powerful people in their own fiefdom, so to speak. So it's just kind of puzzling.
It is. I think we need to have a Republican president to do what's necessary to repeal the Obamacare. I think that's a must.
Yeah. So I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens, especially when you get punished if you don't have insurance. And a lot of hardworking people can't afford it and stuff like that. And it's just a total mess.
It is. It's sad, too, because You should not get penalized for not having health insurance. I mean, that's just totally wrong.
Yeah.
And if I'm elected, I will try my hardest to stop that immediately.
I agree. Okay, so so getting back to ISIS, do you think President Barack Obama is doing a good job containing ISIS, which he referred to as the JV team in the Middle East?
No,
what would you like to see done differently?
No, I don't think he's doing a good job with ISIS. I think we need to do more. I think we need to do more drone attacks. I think we need troops on the ground to fight ISIS, take them out. And President Obama tied the military's hands. The military can't really do much. They need to get, do what's necessary to destroy ISIS. I would give them complete authority to do what's necessary to take them out. Shoot to kill. Plain and simple. Shoot to kill.
That's pretty direct. But that's good, though. Because you can't play, when they're cutting off people's heads and stuff like that.
They're playing games right now.
Yeah.
They can't do much because they have direct orders from the president not to shoot. Well, I hope whoever's president next, President Trump or President Cruz, will support me on that.
Yeah.
If I'm elected.
Yeah. Okay. So, and if you're elected, would you support the country of Israel, arguably our biggest ally in the Middle East, 100%?
Yes, I will, unless they provoke other countries. If they provoke other countries, I won't support them.
Oh, okay.
But I will support them 100%. But like I said, if they provoke any other country, first, if they provoke any other country first, I won't support them.
Oh, okay.
So,
I guess there was a big stink about, like, when the Iranian deal took place last year, that Israel had to do whatever they needed to do to protect themselves. And I guess, as they say, a lot of these missiles, these nuclear warheads in Iran, say, death to Israel, or wiped Israel off the map, so to speak. So that's pretty direct on how Iran feels about the country of Israel. So I don't know. I think they have to do what they have to do to protect themselves.
Yep, absolutely. And we will help them to protect themselves. They will get our help.
Okay. But I don't know if they have a history of provoking other countries, goading them into war or anything like that.
Well, I'm just showing for example.
Oh, okay.
If they provoke any other country, I won't support them. But I don't see that either happening. Because I think they're a pretty neutral country. But, for example, if they provoke any other country, I won't support them.
Okay.
And what we really need to do is worry about North Korea. That's a big problem, and we need to stop them in their tracks immediately.
Yeah.
We need to figure out a way to stop them from making missiles, from launching nuclear missiles that could reach us. Because one day it will reach us, and once that day comes, we need to be ready.
Wow. Okay, so I just was told by my producers here that we've got a little over 13 minutes left till the end of the hour, but we don't have to go to the end of an hour. But I want to give you the opportunity, Mr. Newell. Is there anything that we've talked about in this past, since the show started, that you wish to elaborate on, or that we have, an issue we haven't mentioned, I think we mentioned all of them, but an issue you think we haven't mentioned, which you'd like to address or address more?
I can't address this more. I want to fight for the American people. I want to fight for you. That's my main purpose running for Congress. I'm not running for me. I'm running for you guys. The hard-working American people that deserve breaks. And we need to take care of you guys. And I will represent you if you elect me. And I can't make any promises, but I will try my hardest to get things done.
Wow, that was pretty direct and short, sweet, and simple. So if if this has been interesting, if Casey Newell, you want to know more about Casey Newell, log on to newellforcongress.com, and there's a whole mess of different issues and topics that you address, and don't forget his fundraiser on April 29th, Friday, April 29th, in Epsom, New Hampshire, which I'm sure will be a good event.
I hope so.
Okay, so Casey, good luck.
Thank you.
And we'll definitely be in touch. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, on another episode of Frankly Speaking. Thank you very much, and God bless. Bye.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.